Fathers living their dreams through their sons is a pretty common theme in football. And today, we want to look at 10 footballers who are currently living or have lived their father's dreams. Let's start with the hottest kid on the block right now, Jude Bellingham. His dad, Mark Bellingham, played non-league football for years and was even so good at finding the back of the net. But he never went pro even though he'd have loved to. He stayed working as a police sergeant while he was playing non-league football. Jude, on the other hand, went pro pretty early in his career, and at 20 years of age, he's already on top of the world, scoring goals week in, week out for one of the biggest clubs in Europe. He's most definitely living his father's dream. Another guy who's living his father's dream is Bellingham's former teammate Erling Haaland. Now, as we know, Alfie Haaland actually played professional football. He even played for years in the Premier League. But you know what he never did? He never won the Premier League or any major honours, as a matter of fact. So, Haaland's Premier League medal was the first that Alfie Haaland had worn around his neck. Everybody who plays professional football dreams of winning trophies with their teams. But Alfie never got to live that dream despite playing for Manchester City for 3 years. But in his son's first season at his former club, he broke all possible records, won the Premier League, and even completed the treble. Haaland is definitely living his father's dream. And oh, remember it was a Man United player who gave Alfie a career-ending injury. Since then, he must have always wanted to destroy United. So, seeing his son do it must feel really good. Speaking of United, one of their midfielders is currently living his father's dream, and we're talking about Mason Mount. His father, Tony Mount, played non-league football but never went pro. He then went into coaching, managing clubs like Newport and Havant Town. Tony was never able to play professional football, but he made sure that he taught his son all he knew about the beautiful game. Now, Mason is a Champions League winner playing for one of the biggest clubs in England. Now, from one former Chelsea player to another, Eden Hazard is also one guy who has lived his father's dream. His father and even his mother were footballers, but they gave up their careers because of their kids. His mom stopped playing football when she was 3 months pregnant with him, while his dad, who had become a sports teacher, retired in 2009 to devote time to his kids. Both parents gave up their own football dreams so their children could live their dream. And now having 2 sons who have reached the top of professional football, and have represented the national team must feel like the biggest moment of pride. Speaking of pride, David Beckham's dad was definitely one of the proudest people in the world when his son started playing for the Manchester United first team. According to Beckham himself, his dad was obsessed with Manchester United and it was his dream for a son of his to play for the club. Well, Beckham helped him achieve that dream, not only by playing for Man United, but by going ahead to become a legend there. This guy was so obsessed that he named his son Robert after United legend Sir Bobby Charlton. He was also unhappy when David left United and moved to Real Madrid in 2003. He said it felt like he had lost his boy. Speaking of Real Madrid, their new boy, Endrick, is also living his father's dream. Endrick's dad, Douglas Souza, always wanted his son to be a professional footballer. He would put up videos of his son playing football on YouTube and try to get the attention of the big clubs in Brazil. That was what helped the boy get a move to Palmeiras. And when Endrick eventually landed a deal with Real Madrid, he mentioned that it was such an honor for him to fulfill his dad's dream, his life's dream, and his family's dream. Isn't that just beautiful? You know what else is beautiful? Paulo Dybala's dad, Adolfo, sacrificing his life to make sure his son made it big as a professional footballer. He would drive 70 kilometers to take his son to training, watch him, and take him back. Adolfo always wanted to have a son who plays professional football, and it was Paulo who ended up living that dream. Another guy who is living his dad's dream is Timo Werner. His father, Gunther, was a footballer playing for Stuttgart Kickers, but he just never went pro. But Timo came up from Stuttgart, went pro there, and moved to a bigger club in Germany before landing a move to Chelsea where he won the Champions League. He's surely living his dad's dream. Just like Neymar Jr. Neymar Sr. was a footballer who never went pro. It was his father's dream to make it to the biggest stages, but that just didn't happen for him. But he saw the potential in his little boy and started pushing him to the maximum. He became his son's advisor and later his manager. Now, Neymar is out here living his dream as one of the greatest players of all time and the Brazil national team's all-time top scorer. Let's now wrap up with the GOAT himself, Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo's dad was obsessed with football, but he was not able to hack being a player himself, so he ended up being a kit man. But he always had a dream that his son would be the #1 player in the world before his demise in 2005. And even though he wasn't alive to witness it, his son ended up living his dream. What other footballers do you know lived or are living their father's dreams? Let us know in the comments.